Talk about yesterday, day of frustration. Um, yeah, I'm still really sore and out of it, and I have a weekend migraine from that day. Not sure if anyone will actually come in and watch this live. It's mainly just because my phone was cutting me off at 7 minutes, which was too short to really discuss it. So I decided to just do a live thing anyway. Um, and that Yeah, so let's talk about yesterday. Unlike Bruno, who we don't talk about. A little shout out to my daughter there. If you know what movie that's from, you can put that in the comments below. But yeah. Trying to keep my sense of humor still going. Um, but yeah, yesterday. Yeah. Started off my day getting up out of bed around shortly after 8, like I quite often get up around that time. Mornings are not good for me. And yeah, so I eat my breakfast, start watching the Bob and Bob show on YouTube, which, if you haven't checked out them, they're Christian, para-Christian guys that have a talk show where they talk to people who've been through a lot of different struggles, and how they've gotten to where they are in their Christian life. So if you haven't checked them out, they're definitely worth checking out. Um, but yeah, after around 8:45, after I've finished my breakfast, starts my day of frustration, and my exhausting day. Um, I started a 2 hour long seizure, which, if you've never experienced a seizure, a pseudo seizure, they're they're scary, and they don't feel any different than a regular seizure, um, except that apparently it's all in your head. Um, so yeah, it's 2 hours. I just sit there seizuring. Um, and after that is over, I am paralyzed from the neck down, which is a scary situation. I've experienced it a little bit before, never to the extent that it was yesterday, where it was several hours that I couldn't move for, which is a long time to sit there not being able to move, and going through your head is this going to be permanent? And I always fear that one of these times it will be permanent. And for the next bit, I go in and out of seizures, and I can't really talk. I can only use half my face. So looks like a stroke, so I can only use half my face. Um, which is, again, scary and frustrating and annoying. Uh, and yes. So that lasts till 1, where not being able to talk, almost 1 o'clock, and I start shouting at my, we'll call it Echo Dot, because I don't want her to actually activate. Um, and I sound like the daughter shouting at the Echo Dot, because she shouts at hers all the time. Because it doesn't always understand her, or do what she wants immediately. But I'm trying to tell it to call Karen Peters, my wife, and it's saying it doesn't understand, or I didn't get that, which was annoying. Um, and so I'm talking to it, and finally get it to understand what I'm saying. Um, So I called my wife, and by the grace of God, I caught my wife right before she went into a meeting. Um, and if it had been a little bit later, even just a couple minutes, it would have gone into she would have gone into a meeting, and I would have missed her. Um, in which case I would have sat there um, until my kids got home, which I don't ever want my kids to find me like that. It's scary enough as it is without my kids finding me like that. Um, because yeah, they kind of understand what goes on, especially my son, more than what we maybe think. But still, I really do not want them to find me like that. No child should find their parent like that. Um, but anyway, my wife gets home, and then she calls the ambulance, um, and they take me to the hospital, which the hospital is, well, let's just say it shows what's wrong with our medical system today, and how little they actually understand mental health, and how little they regard it or take it seriously. Um, because they really don't seem to take it seriously. Um, so to try and get me out of it, they start the chest rub on my chest, which for me, with my rib pain and my chest pain, not a good thing. And my wife had already told them about that, but it just, I've got a bruise there now, and it just adds to my regular pain that I normally have. But I understand that that's the way that they're trained to try and get people out of it, and I don't know how else they would try and get people out of it other than pinching my arm really, really hard, which they did, and I have a huge bruise on my arm from that. Um, and yeah, so I'm in and out of seizures this whole time with the doctors. And I still can't move. And they take my blood, and instead of just leaving a little dot like it normally does, there's a cut there. So when they took my blood, they obviously didn't do it properly. My arm is limp, so I mean, you would think they would have been able to take my blood better, but I don't know. There's a cut there, which has never happened before. Anytime they've ever taken my blood, never had that. But yeah, so I'm there for quite a while at the hospital there, and they're trying to get me to move and tell me to squeeze their hands. The nurses are telling me that, and I told I'm trying, speaking with half my face. I'm trying, and I can't. And then they're like, yes, you can. You just have to do it. Um, showing again, not really understanding that mental health and the mental state of things. I wanted to quote Chef Ramsay at them from Hell's Kitchen, but didn't think that they really appreciate me quoting Chef Ramsay at them, and calling them a donkey. Um, so I didn't call them a donkey. I kept that to myself, and they wouldn't have understood it very well anyway. Um, um, but anyway, I failed to squeeze their hands, and I was there for a few hours at the hospital before I was finally able to actually move at all. But before I was able to move, the doctors were in and out, and as soon as I heard pseudo seizure, it's like switch went off in their head, and they just didn't care. Um, and it kind of hurts, when there's such a lack of understanding from our medical system about mental health. Just super frustrating. Um, how that they treat you completely different as soon as they find out it's a pseudo seizure. They treat you different. They just stop caring, and just concerns gone. They don't really they treat it as if you can somehow stop it and you're in control of it. Um, and everything that he was saying when he was talking to me was making it sound like, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. You should have control over this. It's somehow your fault, kind of thing. And it, it does hurt. It's frustrating. Um, because you literally can't control it. You don't have control over what's going on, and you're trying to stop it, but you just your brain is doing its own thing. It's not like you can just flip a switch and make it work. Um, so they said they couldn't admit me because they didn't have any beds in the hospital, and then the person right beside me, less than 5 minutes later, they said, "Well, we're gonna be admitting you," and I'm just like, "Yeah, you don't have any beds because you aren't taking this seriously anymore, and you think it's in my head, and I can somehow control this." Um, which is anchoring. It really is. And it's like they think you're somehow less of a human being because you can't control your brain. And doctors they don't get it. They really just don't get it. Um, so they left me alone and told me they would give me a couple hours, and then they basically said they would need the bed, so I would have to leave. I could have an ambulance take me home, or my wife could take me home. And thankfully, by the end of that 2 hours, I was able to hobble my way out of the hospital. Um, and yeah, and then so I was finally able to move, thankfully. Um, and it's just so frustrating. I really wish that our medical system understood more about mental health, and understood more about people who have mental health issues, and would treat us with the respect that we deserve, and treat us as if we're real human beings. It's hurtful, and it shows what's wrong with our medical system. Like I said before, we need to really drive this mental health thing, and bring awareness of it, and a real understanding of it, because the government and the doctors, they all say mental health is so important, and all this kind of crap that they throw at you, that they don't really believe it. That doesn't really matter to them. um, it's no wonder our suicide rates are so high, um, because that understanding isn't there, and they don't care. They act like they do, but they really don't, because they don't understand. They think it's in your head. You can get past it. It's up to you to take control of that. Well, I've been to counseling. I've seen psychiatrists. Um, been dealing with this for a lot of years, and it's directly related with my pain. When my pain gets worse, my seizures, my pseudo seizures, they get way worse because my brain just can't handle the pain that I'm going through anymore. It just overloads, and you feel like such a burden on your family, because you can't provide for your family, and your family tries to understand, but without going through it, it's hard to truly understand what you're going through, and you do feel like that burden because you can't do things that you normally would want to do, or what a father should be doing. You can't do things with your kids that you normally want to do as a father with your kids. You can't provide financially for your family, so you feel like a financial burden on your family, and it's not good to feel like a financial burden on your family. Um, but you do feel that way because you can't control um, you can't control it, and you you want to provide for your family, but but you can't. And I'm supposed to go to work in October, and hopefully I can, but I don't know what's going to happen at that point. I don't know what the future holds for me. All I can say is throughout all this, I have to realize God has been faithful. God has gotten me through this. He's got me to the point where I'm at. Um, and I just keep thinking of Job. And how God never abandoned him. All these bad things happened to Job, but God never forgot about him. He never abandoned him. He got him through it. And same with David. All the things David went through, and God never abandoned him. He never abandoned Joseph. Um, all these different biblical characters. He never abandoned them. He was with them through all their trials, all their struggles. He was with them, and I just, yeah, I have to remind myself of those things. God is with me. He knows what's going on. One thing I've been able to do through all this is use my biblical ministry more, and so that is what I have to try and remember. And somehow I need to find a way to make mental health more of an awareness thing. If anybody has any ideas for how to do that, or want to get together to try and drive a mental health campaign or awareness campaign, I'd be open to that. And one thing I have to drive in that is God's faithfulness, and how he's there no matter what. But um, mental health needs to be more of an awareness thing with people, because it's really lacking in our medical system, and I think we can only get there with God's help. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that maybe through my experiences it can help somebody else with their experiences. I I I I really feel that it's a necessary thing for us to really drive that.